Those for whom life is no longer a gift but a sentence, imposed not by the courts but by the fates in the guise of failing and often painful health, where recovery is not an option and the substance of life, mental or physical, has irreversibly passed, for them, a way out is a blessing. But if we open up the right to die to those who simply aren't what they used to be, where the substance of life seems lost, then where do you draw the line?
For Jerry Springer's commentary, turn to the team you know, News 5. More.
Jerry has some thoughts on how winning affects the community in his commentary tonight. Jerry?
Thanks, Norma. Maybe after a year of shame and disappointments, of the Rose demise and Bengal mediocrity following a Super Bowl year and Stanley Wilson and would UC ever win again, maybe the Cincinnati sports world was due for a turnaround. And from famine to feast, could it really be Cincinnati, the city of champions? And this may well be the year. I was thinking about that while spending the weekend out in San Diego with the Reds, watching them sweep the Padres, burying the Dodgers in all the talk of choking in the process. While in the press box, word came over the ticker, Bengals trounced New England 41-7. They're 3-0. And suddenly it's not too silly to think of playoffs and pennants and a World Series and Super Bowl all in the same year. Eat your heart out, San Francisco. The torch has been passed to the middle of America. This is Cincinnati's year, the city of champions. And sure, the prospect's exciting, but why do so many of us care and get so worked up about it all? I mean, it's just a bunch of rich kids playing a game, and yet you can't help but notice the incredible impact professional sports is having on our town. And it's more than entertainment. It's that in modern America, professional sports is about the only vehicle left to demonstrate a positive sense of community. Oh, certainly if disaster strikes, a tornado hits, or a hurricane ravages a town, everybody pulls together and there's a real feeling of shared concern, a sense of community. But other than disasters, what happens or what do we do in our daily lives that brings us all together? If Kroger has a record year in profits, do we all rally on Fountain Square? Who dey think's going to beat them cost cutters? The fact is, we're all into our own lives, our own families, our own careers. But the one thing we all share is the nationally reported success or failures of the pro teams who carry our name. We dedicate a whole section in our daily newspapers to it, as we do our nightly broadcasts. We televise the games, listen to Marty and Joe on the radio. How many of us, at least once today, saw, read, or heard something about the Reds and Bengals? No, it isn't life and death, but it is our world. It's Cincinnati. And right now, we're looking and feeling pretty good. Play ball. Past their importance, but we persist because this is personal. Rock and roll's greatest performer will wear no crown, of course, but there's no championship to be fought over by contemporaries, no relevant statistics to be measured in terms of comparisons with past greats. Indeed, the title of rock's greatest is held only in our individual minds, and yet we argue intensely because it's our own history we're talking about. You see, whomever you think's the greatest, the chances are it's someone whose prime coincides with our youth. I suspect it's because our teens and young adult years are clearly when pop music is most significant to us. And maybe that's because that's when we're falling in love or trying to, or dealing most vigorously with relationships. And the radio, or today MTV and CDs and tapes, become the background music to life. Indeed, for most Americans, their favorite performer probably is someone who was big in their senior year in high school. And yes, there must be exceptions, because I'm not willing to say Bobby Vinton singing Roses Are Red was the best ever. But generally, it's no accident that those who think Sinatra's the king are kind of older, and those who swear that Elvis still lives probably were teens in the 50s. And if it's Springsteen or Michael Jackson that gets the nod, we're looking at the class of the late 70s or early 80s. But let me settle the uncertainty with the same lack of objectivity I normally reserve for these commentaries by suggesting that the man who graced the stage at the Coliseum last night was part of the creative genius that made up the greatest musical group of the century, the greatest rock group of all time, the Beatles. Their music changed the industry, changed rock and roll, indeed changed Western culture in terms of style, attitudes, and the politics of youth. And 100 years from now, their music will still be played even by symphony orchestras who are already playing it. There have been better musicians, better singers, better writers. But nobody could do it all with such impact
while leaving a mark of such longevity. There'll be no reunion tours, of course. A crazed assassin saw to that. But those of us old enough to remember can never forget that where music has always been the language of the generation, the Beatles were the one group that created and shaped a generation, which is why no concert ever sold out faster, and why when Paul McCartney sang Yesterday, we knew it was forever.
Civil rights leader Jesse Jackson recently visited Cincinnati. He is surely a voice for the poor, but will mainstream America pay any attention? It's the subject of Jerry's commentary tonight. Jerry?
Thanks, Norma. We have to listen. I didn't say we have to agree, but we have to listen. We have to respond. We have to hear what he's saying, because he's the only national politician left who talks to those who have nothing to do with the system or the suits who run it. The president motorcades through L.A. Clinton says what he's going to do, and Perot at least suggests that he's working on an answer. But as sincere as these guys might be, to the folks on the streets and in the ghettos and on the unemployment line, living poor, real poor, to them it's all a bunch of words and promises never kept. It's just election time, so the rhetoric flows, but not the commitment, and certainly not the money. Cynicism rages in America's inner cities. I mean, just a rumor of a police shooting started a riot in Minneapolis. It turned out, of course, not to be true. A cop didn't shoot anybody. But even just the rumor was enough to ignite the short fuse of discontent that currently pervades urban America. Forget who's to blame. It's too late for that. The fact is, third and fourth generation poor folk don't believe any of us anymore. Our institutions have helped rip their families apart. There's no base, no education, no economic support. The supremely gifted make it out, but most, of course, don't. And they don't believe politicians give a damn, except to get their vote and agree to keep the peace. Except for Jesse Jackson, that is. He is a bridge across troubled waters. The disenfranchised do listen to him because he really does listen to them, and he hears their cries. And we can slough him off. We can say, oh, that's just Jesse Jackson grandstanding again, and choose to ignore him. But if we do so at our own peril. We ignore a gifted voice and a valuable conduit to a part of America we haven't let in. Simply put, if we don't find room for Jesse Jackson and the forgotten and alienated Americans he represents, if we chase these folks out of the system, what avenue is left for them to vent their anger? If the politicians won't listen, if the courts won't listen, if the media won't listen, if we keep chasing them away, we will eventually chase them onto the streets. And then suddenly we'll cry, oh, Jesse, could you help us? But then it'll be too late, even for him. Maybe we ought to listen to him now. Some of the things he says seem kind of funny, but not listening to him's a riot.